discussed by all three people. And as an aside, my eldest daughter's nickname is Bobby, so there. I knew I would like my panelists there. But relevance is the most important thing that we can talk about when we are trying to match the demands of the labor markets with the skills imbued and endowed upon our students in the education system. And they're driven by these megatrends that are really shaping the future of the world, not just in education, but across all industries. First, we have rapid urbanization, where more people are moving towards cities, and this is a phenomenon that's happening in both emerging and mature markets. We have changing demographics, so some countries have an aging population, and they're really adapting to that, and others have enormous amounts of youth in their population. So how do we deal with that? How do we make sure that we make a more peaceful, just, and prosperous society given these changing demographics? We also have hyper-globalization, which has created this arbitrage for labor across all borders. So now, when you graduate high school in Singapore, you'll be competing with students from San Francisco and Delhi and Prague for the same exact job. So it's really a brand new phenomenon that we're all struggling with. And finally, accelerated innovation. So a predictably unpredictable future where every single industry, from manufacturing to agriculture to education, is being disrupted by technology. So there's a lot of moving parts here, and there are huge challenges ahead, not only for employers and corporations like HP, but also and specifically for ministries of education. When we look at what is foremost on the mind of heads of state, ministers of education, ministers of finance, etc., and of course ministers of state, are several sort of challenges and opportunities. We have, of course, economic development and continued economic growth, jobs and employment, the whole notion of quality of life or the happiness index, sustainability and being careful stewards of the natural resources that are given to each country, that are owned by each country. And we really look at four things: economic growth, the pipeline of skilled labor, measures of peace and happiness, and now something that's really become much more important is accountability, improving a return on investment for large public works projects, whether those are based on infrastructure or education, human capital, etc. So we're finding that those countries with that have elected officials, those countries that have sort of more longer-term leadership, the citizens are holding them accountable to the spending, to their activities, etc. Overall, we need to be able to offer the tools to those heads of state and those leaders to be able to prove quantitatively what the ROI is. Now, if we go down the funnel a little bit, we talk specifically about employers. We know that the expectations are changing, not only for millennials, who are sort of in the youngest generation of workers right now, but also for older workers. It used to be that you have one career and one employer, and now there's an average of 7 employers, which is a lot different. In fact, 7 times different. Instead of function-based work, we have project-based work. Instead of top-down organizations, we have networks and flat organizations. The democratizing force of ICT has allowed us and allowed many people to have careers as contractors or careers that are very versatile, where they solve problems instead of do one specific function. Instead of 40 hours a week working in a corporate headquarters, we now work all over the place all the time. And of course, instead of a technical skills focus, we'll see soon how that's really and rapidly changing to a collaboration skill focus and more soft skills, or at least more of a balance between technical and soft skills. For employability, we really have to look at 3 things. So updating what we teach, how it's taught, and then addressing those out of school so that we can reskill and skill up adult learners and inspire them to re-enter the workforce or improve their skills so that they can indeed compete effectively with the younger generations who are growing up as digital millennials. This is probably my favorite slide, is that yesterday we heard from both Andreas Schleicher and Karen Cater that this new balance of soft skills and ensuring that we have grit and determination or perseverance, as Bobby just said, along with these technical skills. It's the not-so-secret formula that we really need both now. Also, you'll see here, Code to Riches, The Economist is so very clever. But for the top-paying jobs, they demand ICT skills. And it doesn't matter if you are a person who's running a factory, a person who is running a corporation, you also need to have ICT skills. So it's very, very important that you need to be a global citizen. And now we're also seeing what's called brain drain. I'm not sure this is exactly accurate, but what it means is that instead of employees doing calculations or using a slide rule, they're now relying on technology to do that, and they're really working on soft skills and also these sort of higher order thinking skills of analysis and synthesis and critical thinking. So the labor market has changed dramatically, and employers are reacting a lot faster with their needs than education systems are changing curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment, and that's got to change. One of the things that we do at HP is a lot of primary research and sponsored research. So since 2014, we've surveyed now over about 40,000 teachers, 20,000 parents, 5,000 students. We directly engage chambers of commerce all over the world, etc. And we have projects that we run with universities, and we'll tell you about a few of these, as well as with non-governmental organizations. So one of the interesting approaches that HP uses in our primary research for education and employability and public policy is that we always bring along with us a non-governmental third-party observer to validate the results. So that's a very important part of the way that we work. And of course, we work with a number of great organizations who are in the room and a number of great organizations tied to the United Nations. One data point from all of our research around the world, we have an unnamed European Union country here. 98% of the employers that we spoke to and that we did a survey and a lot of focus groups, 98% said ICT skills are important for the jobs of the future. But when we asked them about their opinion of schools, not a single one said excellent when asked how well schools are equipping students for the future workforce. And the vast majority said fair or poor. We met with these militant, angry employers in many, many countries who think there's a huge mismatch between what schools are teaching and what's really demanded in the environment of work, or the new version of work. So they're not getting the skills that they need. The good news is that they are militant and they are activists, and these employers want to help, and they want to make sure that the pipeline of skilled employees comes out of the education system. It's not just the elite schools, but for overall population. So there's a huge demand for change from an employer standpoint as well. Our prescription for this is to move and to espouse a move from a content-centric world to one that's more student-centered. It's been echoed by a lot of the other speakers. What we're saying is not that we want to completely forego technical skills, but there must be a balance, that there must be an artful balance between all the technical skills, vocational skills, as well as the 21st century skills or social and emotional learning to make sure that we have these well-rounded students who are flexible, adaptive, lifelong learners. Those are the new leaders in the new economy. There's some instructional trends that really lead us to the student-centered learning. We have 3D in the maker movement, blended learning, personalized learning. Those two go together a lot. SEL, of course, as many of the people on stage have talked about, vocational, technical, and this notion of modular learning, online learning in snippets that allow learners of any age to go and acquire a new skill or a new certification and hopefully a credential along with that. What HP's done is we've taken a step back. We've tried to create something called the classroom of the future. It's really the education system or the human capital development system of the future. And we look at 5 domains. We look at students and how to make school more relevant, more exciting, and not see school as a punitive measure of punishment, but rather see school as an exciting, engaging, and immersive place to go and learn. We see a new generation of teachers who are empowered and enabled. They are the key persona in any classroom, in any secondary or primary classroom. We want to save them time, and we want them to focus on differentiating instruction and ensuring that they are this great facilitator of learning. We want immersive and constructivist classrooms, spaces that are dynamic, that are not boring and don't look like the 1890s. We want safer, physically safer, and more efficient schools to save money for schools and to make sure that they're a great place to learn and a great place for the community. Increasingly, schools are the new town hall for cities and towns in a number of different communities. And finally, speaking of communities, we want more peaceful, prosperous, and just communities where leaders are empowered to make the right decisions involving human capital, etc. This Classroom of the Future framework directs our research and development activities, whether that's in sponsored research with some of the programs I'm about to show you, or whether it's the way that we develop our products and services for all of you. So how do we inform our pedagogic and curricular strategy? We do it with applied research. We had a choice. Do we do applied research within HP Labs or our office of the CTO and have a bunch of people in white coats wonder what teachers and students want? In fact, we did the opposite. We went to 60 schools all around the world with real students and teachers with our partner Digital Promise Global to create learning studios. These are immersive next-generation learning studios that allow students access to the latest technology, and very good third-party research is done about what works and what doesn't. And because of the number, the 60 studios are over 15 countries, we're able to tell the curricular and even the attitudinal and cultural differences between countries like Canada or Jordan or Australia. We've also struck several research partnerships with UN organizations. We created the Massively Open Online course for Ministers of Education on how to use and interpret PISA results with the OECD. And most recently, we created a program called Making the Future of VR, AR, and 3D printing with Yale University. It's sponsored research where we provide all sorts of bizarre technology, and they apply it to the liberal arts, the hard sciences, engineering, their Peabody Museum, etc., and then report back on the results. And we'll have a full report for everyone right around the United Nations General Assembly in September. For policy and economic strategy, we do customized applied research, where we take macroeconomic analyses like a PESTEL analysis on individual countries and then match that with the hyperlocal insights of going and engaging directly with students and teachers. These two groups are often read about in reports, are read about in the PISA guide or the PISA results, but never actually engaged by companies like HP. So we go and engage them, and you can see part of a group of students that were in our focus group in Rwanda. You also saw that earlier today, for those of you who were in the morning session, another piece of research on predictive econometrics. We built a learning, economic, and social index of every UN member state, and it's a very large, probably very boring book, but that's the basis for creating a data model for the entire world to then create predictive insights as a result of that. Overall, the bottom line with